about time we got some actual feedback on the current state of Genesys. Make sure you guys smash the load and crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more content. I gotta tell you, I have been doing a lot of looking at things for Genesys. We've already ran an event with Phantom Revenge, and we did see a little bit of an input from the future standing Burst Protocol if things were supposed to be left the way they were, and it wasn't good. So YSCS Bologna was our first chance to see how European duelists tackled Genesys. Today we're about to talk about the differences in Europe's first qualifiers and the Invitational itself compared to YCS Pittsburgh. So differences in qualification. The Bologna qualifiers were a little differently ran than they were in NA. Bologna qualifiers were held on Friday before the event began, so those duelists that would normally be competing in the main event all day Saturday had a chance to qualify and have a tournament to fall back on Sunday if they failed throughout day one. That's actually kind of crazy. I actually kind of appreciate that. If they failed to make it through day one, as such, you had the chance to do your thing. So this also would have resulted in an invitational with over 64 players, but it was done to take into account the possibility of many qualifiers not showing up Sunday due to still being in the main event. Indeed, there were duelists who qualified on Friday and then performed extremely well in the main event, leading to them skipping the invitational. Interesting. Differences in the deck selection. So why did we bring this up? Because being able to lose one and still qualify does change the equation a bit for what sorts of decks that you can qualify with. 4 decks that had never qualified before, Infernoble Knight, Unchained, Archfiend, Heraldic, and Lunalight, made it to the field of Bologna. Or Bologna. Lunalight is a deck that's specifically been considered strong and difficult to fight against once it gets going, but it struggled mightily in a straight single elimination events. Under the modified qualifier rules, 4 Lunalight decks made it, 3 of which were one and dones in the Invitational before the 4th went all the way and won the tournament. Oh, that's kind of interesting. Something to think about as we move forward is that the current Invitational format is going to be retired in the new year and replaced with the same format used for YCS events as Genesys moves out to early access and gets plunged into standard tournament systems. Interesting. This will also affect the viability or the lack of certain decks that will be taking that into account going forward. Okay, interesting. The deck that lost the most ground was Archmage, which had grown to share from Anaheim to Pittsburgh, and then dropped off heavily in Bologna. Instead, 2 decks reached outlier status with more than double the showing of Lunalight in the Invitational, which was Dracotail and Radiant Typhoon Runic. Strange that those 2 decks were going to be very, very strong. Dracotail operates as a high-power Shaddoll-style deck, and in some cases even includes Shaddolls. Wow, this is just like modern-era Yu-Gi-Oh! Who would have guessed? You can summon and use monsters you fuse together, activate their effects in the graveyard to give more cards, and of course, it's much faster than the Shaddoll deck used to be, with Dracotail 5 mana letting you start fusing from the first main phase of the game, even if it's not your turn. The Dracotail spell and traps that you get for fusing monsters are very strong, and in particular, Dracotail Flame is so strong it's escaped the containment and became a generic card used in many side decks. Wow. Been seeing that for a while. Unlike the standard Radiant Typhoon decks, Radiant Typhoon Runic has access to mass removal, draw power, and search power, and almost all of the extra cards are quick plays and can attack the opponent's main deck. It's a deck that's often never has to attack and just waits for the opponent to deck out while defending itself with powerful exceeds and sniping key cards. Yep. We think it's fine to have a deck in the format that loses to the needle worm deck out. Okay, but this particular combination, when you get to play 2 entirely decks together, is enough to win on its own. At the same time, well, RIP to this abnormality. Oh my god, they're talking about Droll and Lockbird. In Pittsburgh, there was one card that was used 30% or more in all decks submitted for the qualifiers. Droll and Lockbird. In fact, 54% of all possible copies were registered in the qualifiers. Though we should note that this number treats the players who enter multiple qualifiers of the same deck as a unique player to each experience. Looking at how many copies were in the Invitational themselves, players that were actually unique with 60% of possible copies to be played. Oh my god, are we going to do something about this? This may sound low, but if you are looking at Master Duel and Advanced format trends, but for Genesys, where there's a cost to including it, that's a ton. Speaking as a one person on a Genesys team, I consider anything over 33% for a generic card to be an outlier and to take a look whether in that way because it's specifically countering a deck trend or it's outperforming its salary. For a Droll, it's probably both, which makes the Bologna invitational number shocking, 30% of the maximum numbers played it. That's crazy. Okay, which advanced format cards were popular? There was only 4 advanced forbidden cards used in Bologna and Invitational. 2 players decided to use both Pot of Greed and Mirage and Nightmare in their deck, which, by the way, guys, I hate to tell you this, you know, it's because Radiant Typhoon's doing that. One player opted to play a pair of Heavy Storm. A player ran Rongo Reminiad. I mean, it's pretty interesting. So we are planning to line up with the release of Phantom Revenge, as there are some cards that in that set proactively attack the main deck, extra deck, and we're going to have to take the NA delay for Phantom Revenge as an opportunity to take some extra time for this update and prepare a what to expect article for it. We're shooting for the 15th for the next update, but we'll let you know in the what to expect article if that changes. So realistically, we could be seeing an update for this sooner than or later than the 15th. They're expecting a what to post article with that. So a couple things I want to talk about here. I actually just did a major talk about Genesys format earlier today where we talked about how the Phantom Revenge, the Cool Tune deck is crazy powerful. Like, that deck is so beyond the current scope of power. Like, it's an entirely other realm for that deck. And I think that Konami needs to take some preventative measure to that deck, because a deck that can loop Ash Blossom, a deck that has the ability to spin through. I mean, I'll upload the finals here over the next couple of days. You guys will get the opportunity to see how good that creature of a deck actually is. And it's crazy to me. I'm glad... I'm hoping that Konami actually addresses the Droll and Lockbird situation in this format. It's crazy to think about one tournament played at 54%, and not even a couple weeks later, we see it popping off at, 35% for the maximum number. That's a crazy jump around here in terms of representation, and I guess it proves that NA is really pushing that card more of an emphasis, and the amount of people that I have seen talking about the card, they've definitely proven that it's a very busted card. Also, the situation down here with the ban cards, I hope that Konami is going to take a note of this and actually decide, hey, maybe we need to adjust some of these cards a little bit more and see what we're going to do. Maybe less, power on the Heavy Storm, maybe some final adjustments on that. Also, I gotta tell you, seeing, Radiant Typhoon Runic being talked about, we saw that deck coming like a mile away. All right, we've already known that deck was a problem. We've seen it actually performing, and it just being a creature on the advantage train. If you didn't actually believe that deck was a real contender, same thing with Draco Tail. I mean, both decks have been performing so extremely well. Like, it's crazy to think about. But I'm hoping that Konami does actually make some good changes here. Other slight things of interesting to note down here. We might be seeing an actual ban list sometime soon. Assuming that, with this date down here, maybe they'll do a little bit of a switcheroo on us, but I would love to see an actual list popping off so I can actually get out of this format and we can actually have some fun. Go blow up the craziness that is some of this meta, like getting rid of Herald would be very, very nice. But what do you guys think? Please leave a comment down below. Tell me what you guys think, and I will see your beautiful faces back here in a day, guys. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.